You ready?
Yep.
We're live on your...
Four and three and two and one. Well, welcome.
You just went out and came back in.
There you are. Okay, so we're going to ask you some questions. Say hello to everybody. Welcome to the Sober Grind podcast.
I have been, since my son passed, I've been trying to work to help other people to bring awareness of the horrible epidemic of the opiate addiction and now also fentanyl.
Right.
Yeah.
Being put into everything.
Okay. And so let's talk a little bit about your son. Do you mind if I say his name?
Not at all.
Okay. So your son's name is Zachary, and Zachary, I guess, how old was Zach when you first knew that he was struggling?
He came to us in 2015 and told us that he had a problem with, actually it was 2014. He had a stroke at the age of 27, and that was from a birth defect. And he got scared and thought it was from the addiction, or not addiction at that time. He had used one time, and he told us about it. And after his hospital stay, we got him into an outpatient program, which didn't last very long. And then in June of 2015, he decided that he would go into inpatient treatment. So we got him into inpatient treatment for 28 days.
And that was out in Wisconsin?
Yes.
Okay.
That was, yeah.
So for 28
Ministries.
days, he went into treatment for 28 days.
Right.
Do you think that was enough time?
No, not at all. And the sad thing is that us not really knowing that much about the addiction at that time, we thought when he came out, he was going to be all better.
Right.
Not knowing or not realizing that it was a lifelong struggle for him.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of went right back into the same routine what he was in before. And within a year,
when you say same routine, what do you mean? He came back out. Was he well for a while? He stayed clean for a year. Okay.
And he went right back. He lived with his grandmother for a month, and then she decided that he was okay to be on his own. So he got his own apartment, and right after treatment, he started working again with his father doing construction. And he had actually met a girl in treatment, and she moved in with him, and they both were able to stay clean for a year. He came to us on June 30th in 2016 and told us that he had made a mistake and he used again, and he wanted to get back into treatment.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Rhonda, do you know what that decision, why he went back to using? Did he go into that at all? What was that trigger?
I can only speculate. I don't. I think a lot of it was pressure at work. He worked with his family, and a lot of the family kept accusing him of using. And I know he said to me, "Mom, I might as well just use because they always are telling me that I'm using anyway." And I'm like, "No, don't do that. You got to prove them wrong. Fight, be strong." And I think they had told him in treatment that working with the family was they realized that was very stressful for him because he was trying to stand up to their standards, what they thought he should be. And, and I think it was just too much pressure.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Okay. So then over a period of time, he actually started using again, and then was he pretty honest with you about it, or was he hiding it?
No, he was honest, and that's when I was getting worried. He said he wanted to get back into treatment.
Uh-huh.
And so, but he said he wanted to do outpatient this time.
Right.
So he said he was going to do it all on his own, which I was really proud. And he went to the local hospital, and they said they had to do an evaluation and all of that. And so they did the evaluation. It took him a month. By this time, he was like not sure if he wanted to do it again.
Uh-huh.
And then that's when I got a hold of you.
Right.
And which was, I was looking back, it was
2016.
the 29th, I think, of September.
In 2016, right?
Yep.
Right after,
And,
after Prince died, a few months after.
Wow.
Yes, yes, yes. And I even brought that up to him. I told him, hey, Prince isn't invincible. No one's invincible. You got to get into treatment. And when I told him that I had contacted someone, he panicked, and he said he didn't want to leave the state, and Tej was going to try to get him. His big problem was the financial part. Because he worked, it was so expensive, they told him it was going to be $400 a day outpatient.
Right.
And right away he just gave up, and he's like, I can't like go through that again, that burden of, debt. And he only had $800 left to pay off from his last treatment.
Mm-hmm. So.
And I just, go ahead.
No, go on. And then?
I just think that he kind of gave up on the idea. And I didn't know what to do at the time. He was 30, and I kept thinking, what can I do? He's 30 years old.
He wasn't
really
living with you at the time, right?
No, he wasn't. He was living on his own with his girlfriend, who he also had met in treatment, which wasn't the best scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But so they both started using together.
Right.
Again. Yeah.
So, and then shortly after that, what happened?
Well, I talked to you on the 29th, and then Zach came over that day, and we talked.
Yep.
And he told me he knew, that I was just trying to, I was trying to help him because I loved him, and he didn't really say a whole lot that day. He was a little upset with me. And then we got together on Sunday, and we talked, and I told him he really needed to get into treatment. Mm-hmm. And he said, I know, Mom. And I told him he was playing Russian roulette every time he did it. And he hadn't used from the time that I had talked to him. And then I told him, the next time you use, it could be the last time, because that's what you had said to me. And, when you put that in perspective, I was like, yeah, it could, because every day is Russian roulette. I mean, every time that he uses. And so that was Sunday evening, and Wednesday morning on the 5th, I got a call that he had overdosed, and I was to meet his dad at the hospital. And he was pronounced brain dead that day. And they kept him, they got his heart going again, and they kept him alive till the 7th, and we donated his heart and 2 kidneys. And at that point,
every time that I hear you, every time that I hear you tell me about this, or we go over it again, it's heart wrenching, and
it is.
It saddens me so much, especially the fact that he wanted to get help. That's what just hurts so bad. The fact that he knew that there's something wrong, and he wanted to identify the problem and work through it, but he felt like he didn't have the resources to doing that.
Right. And he also felt he was letting his dad and I down. And he told me that the day that he came over, I told him, I said, we got to do something, because this is really taking a toll on your dad and I too. And I wish I wouldn't have said that, because I feel kind of like, he looked at me and he said, I know, Mom.
Right.
And he kept in open communication with us. Unlike I hear a lot of parents say that, they've lost contact, and we never wanted to lose contact with Zachary. We tried to keep him, let him know that we were always there for him, and we backed him. We wanted him to get into treatment, and
You know,
Yeah.
it's interesting that you say that. I know often a lot of parents say that they lose contact with their kids, and I think it's usually when the kid is living off of them that they have to cut them off and not keep enabling. But in this case, really, Zachary was on his own. I mean, he lived on his own.
Right.
You know, he was to a certain extent self-supporting, so it was like,
Yep. He maintained his job and paid his bills. It was important for him to keep a good credit because he wanted to build a house. He had plans, you know, he wanted a family.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
And so, you know, one of the things that stands out about you, unlike a lot of mothers who lose their kids, for one, what I see you doing now is you're making a difference. You are making the best out of, I mean, obviously this is the worst situation that any mother or father could ever endure is losing their loved one, their child to addiction.
Yeah.
But one thing I really love about you, Rhonda, is the fact that you have turned it around and you're highly involved in being there for people, you know, in grief groups for other people who are losing,
Right.
have lost their kids, or for people who are currently struggling and come to you, you know, with questions of what do I do? My kid is, you know, is not doing well. They're on drugs. Like, what do I do? And you're guiding them in the right direction. You know, recently I think you told me that you helped assist somebody get their kid into a center out there in Wisconsin, which is,
Yep.
you know, which is awesome. I love that. And I really love your openness about, you know, talking about what's happened here rather than hiding it. A lot of times people lose their loved ones and they will want to keep it really secretive. They don't want the word to get
Right.
out that, you know, because of the stigma that's attached to addiction and everything. They don't want the word to get out that their kid was an addict, was a drug addict or an alcoholic, and they died from addiction. But how will anyone know if we don't talk about it? And what I really love,
Exactly.
what I love right now is the fact that you and I at that time, it could only go so far. I mean, I posted about this experience on Facebook, but not a lot of people got to see it. Now I love the fact that with Austin, we have this platform where we're trying to get the word out. And just in talking to you last week, I thought, who better than Rhonda to have on the show and be able to talk about her experience, so that if anybody's out there watching, which, you know, there's plenty of people that have been trying to contact us through our show and through the Sober Grind and through Ask an Addiction Specialist through that page too. They need to know this stuff. They need to know, like, this is the tragedy of it, to actually hear a true mother's voice that's lost her son, and how you know how this has affected you and your family and you personally, and what you're doing to make a difference it's remarkable that you're strong and that you continue to keep moving forward and wanting to and help others who are going through this too.
Yeah, Rhonda,
I'm doing it for my son. Because I told him before he passed, even not knowing that he was going to pass, but we knew there was a possibility. I said, if anything happens to you, I will make sure that I let everyone know what took you to try to help other people. And he was all for that. He said, I know, you know, like he wanted me to. Without saying it, I could just tell. And that's been one of the number one things. I've been very open about it because I want other people. So many people have come forward to me since I've been open about it to tell me things that they would have kept hidden if they didn't feel, you know, like they could come to somebody else and say something that's been through the whole ordeal themselves.
Right.
Rhonda, thank you so much for sharing your incredible, heartbreaking journey over and over again. Can you explain a little more in depth about what exactly you're doing to spread awareness and spread hope?
Well, I've joined some groups on the internet, on Facebook particularly. There's a group that I like a lot. It's called Not in Vain for Grieving Mamas of Drug Addiction. And what we just did recently for Valentine's Day, we got as many people as we could to send Valentines to the White House with our children's pictures and pictures of them with us and with other family members, to let them know that these are real kids, young adults that have normal lives, and to try to get rid of the stigma of, you know, whatever. Everyone's so afraid to talk about it, and we just want people to know, we want especially the president to know how it's affecting so many people. And it's not just numbers, they can look at numbers, but these are actual human beings that are losing their lives.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's incredible.
I love it. I love that you guys are doing that, and I definitely, people need to know there is a major epidemic in this nation, and who better to contact than the government, and to let them know we got to do something about this. And I know that you said that when you mailed those letters out, what was it, like thousands of letters, right? I think that you haven't heard anything back yet because, due to security purposes and things like that, they have to check the letters and make sure that they're okay. But let's hope something good comes out of that. I love that you all are doing that. I think over the weekend you had added me to some other groups too. It was called Dads. What was it called? Dads.
Yeah, Sad Dads Club.
Sad Dads Club.
Support and social group.
Right.
Yeah, and I recently, one of my son's friends passed away in October of 24th of this year, and his dad was going through the same thing that I knew I had gone through the year before. And I reached out with him and gave him some of these groups, and he said it's really helped him a lot. And he got involved also with mailing of the Valentines. So, he's still pretty raw with his grieving, but I'm hoping that getting involved in some of these groups, it's helped me to help other people to get through the loss of my son. It's something you're never going to get over. I think I'm going to grieve the rest of my life. I talk about him every day, but if I can help other people just, answer questions that maybe, they don't have the answer to, or direct them to someone else, it's healing for us.
Yeah.
You're a beautiful soul, Rhonda. Thank you for being you. Thank you for helping others.
Thank you.
You're strong. I love it.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you.
And thanks for being on the show today. I'm sure I would love to, have you on future episodes too. And
yeah, if you're, where are you based out of?
Where are you, Madison?
I'm in Appleton, Wisconsin.
Okay. This was incredible. Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of insight. I'd love to do a future Skype live with you as well, if that's something that you're open to.
Are you camera shy?
Sure. Pardon me?
Are you camera shy, Rhonda?
I didn't understand what you were saying.
I said, are you camera shy? I'm not camera shy.
Oh, yeah, it's camera shy. At first I thought you asked me if I was Catholic, and I'm like, I wasn't quite sure what you were going with that. A little bit.
Okay, no problem.
That's okay. That's why we did this today, so that we could break the ice and get you more comfortable in speaking, because I know that you and I talked about that earlier. But no, I just,
I've done one other webinar with a hospital group of doctors and nurses. So this is my second kind of thing that I've done. But I think it gets easier. But it's hard to do, but I want to do it because I know helping other people.
You're making such a positive impact on a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, I want you to know, what's really meaningful to me is that from every tragedy comes a blessing. With as bad as this is, I remember when I linked you up with a lady, my friend Margie, that's out here that has an organization called Solace. In the last few years, we have seen so many people that have died from overdoses and addictions that I would just, whenever their families would call me and say, how do we do this? Like, what do we do now? How do we process ourselves? Like, what I'm grieving. I don't think I can ever have a regular, normal day for the rest of my life. And I would always refer them to either, to Margie. And I remember when I hooked you up with her too. I mean, Solace is an amazing organization where it's a lot of mothers that are grieving that come together that basically get to be there for each other and work through all of the pain that they have. And obviously with the epidemic, and you mentioned fentanyl too. It's no joke. It's no, I mean, even Prince died from fentanyl, and no matter who wants to say what about that, that's the reality of what's going on in our country. So
addiction doesn't pick and choose.
No, the disease of addiction does not discriminate. I've seen some of the most famous people that are suffering from addiction sitting next to people from Skid Row. So it's like nobody, it has no, it doesn't care what color you are, what nationality you are, you know, what your stature in life is, how much you make or how much you don't make. Addiction is running rampant. So I can't begin to thank you enough for everything that you do, Rhonda. And I think our souls connected before we lost Zach, you know, and we tried to help him. But
I want to thank you also for being there for me, because you've helped me tremendously and guided me and got me to put this thing into more positive. Because right away you said we got to do something positive, and I thank you for that.
Thank you. And thank you for being on the show, my dear. I will be in touch with you. We have a lot of work to do. As somebody very special told me when I first got sober, he said, Pej, you have a plane to catch. And I had no idea what he meant. And about 10 years in, I saw him again and he said, Pej, remember I told you, you have a plane to catch. And I said, I thought I already caught the plane. He goes, no, you're still looking to catch the plane. So we have a lot of work to do. And I think I know what he means now, 10 years later. So it took a while, but yeah. I love you dearly. Thank you for being on our show today. And
love you too. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
So
I think we're all good.
Are we all good?
That was incredible.
Okay, so just a couple of things. I just wanted to add this to what we were going over today. In conclusion to what we just talked about today, this is the sober grind. So if you have any kind of a platform where there's podcasts like Google Play, correct?
Yeah, iTunes,
anything like that. If you type in Sober Grind, you can listen to our show on a weekly basis. We have testimonials. Last week was Frankie Dahl. She's very special to me.
She was incredible.
She's amazing. Frankie's like, I look up to Frankie. She's taught us a lot. But every week we'd like to have somebody new on there with a short testimonial, and then we do our show too. Please subscribe to the Sober Grind on any kind of platform where there are podcasts.
Yeah.
And
the link is actually in the description of this video. Okay. So if you click that little see more, it'll take you right to iTunes. And if you could write a review, it helps us tremendously. Cannot thank you enough for that.
And then we also have the Ask an Addiction Specialist Facebook page, which if you just go up in your little bar there on your Facebook page and type in Ask an Addiction Specialist, we can add you to the group. And that page is basically for anybody and everybody that has any questions that are in relation to addiction. If you want to talk to a professional, we have professionals that will, be readily available to come and answer any questions that you have, or people that are in recovery that, they can tell their experiences and they can assist you in any possible way. Whether you're a struggling addict that needs help or alcoholic that needs help, come and ask a question, or if you have a loved one, a family member, come into the Ask an Addiction Specialist page. We would be glad to talk to you at any given time. And then...
well, I was just going to add that link is also in the description of this video. So if you don't feel like typing it in, you can just click see more and click in that group and join and see what we're doing in there. Okay. And lastly, this podcast is made possible by Beginnings Treatment Centers, an amazing Orange County treatment center. You can find out more information from them at beginningstreatment.com, or you can call them directly at 800-387-6907.
There's one more little thing I want to include.
Please.
If you're in Orange County, or even if you're not in Orange County and you're interested in becoming an interventionist, we do have an intervention training that's coming up in April 13th, 14th, and 15th. It will be the trainings will be taught by a world-renowned interventionist by the name of Earl Hightower. Earl will be teaching all 3 days. It is going to be amazing. You can, if you need more information on that, I've been posting about it, but if you haven't seen the posts, please contact me. My phone number is 949-751-7761, or you can contact me at pej@beginningstreatment.com, and I would be glad to put you in contact with the appropriate people to sign you up and enroll you. And, you know, if you do interventions, you can go out and save some lives, and you will be supervised by Earl for the first 2 years. I can talk to you about the costs and everything, but it's well worth it. We would love to have more people. We have some more open seats available for the intervention.
Yeah, I think
training.
it's going quick though, so just make sure you reach out
That's
if you're thinking about it at all.
Yes.
You don't want it to sell out.
That's right. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks. This has been a very, very special show because of Rhonda, because of Austin, and I guess
of Pej.
I guess because of Pej.
Definitely because of Pej.
I love you all. Thank you so much. We love you.
Sober Grind out.
Sober Grind.